Good. Nice.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I can't see. Okay, you ready? Yeah. One, two. Yeah, or what else?
I'm gonna get one when you're done, yeah.
Thank you. One, two, three. One more like this. There you go. She's ready.
Come back.
All right. Perfect. One, two. I can't quite see you in the back.
Me?
No, the her beside you. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you're fine.
Oh!
You're okay. There you go, now I get it. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are honored. Thank you. Yes, it was. I mean, I just have mayor's call.
She thought you would be. Look at me real quick, just wait you are. Okay, y'all ready? Just throw it up where you are. Ready? As you well know.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Ernest Jeffries, Vice President of Student Engagement here at Mary Baldwin, and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you in the audience and those joining via live stream to the second annual Margaret and Francis Teague Lecture Series. The Teague Lecture Series brings a well-known, nationally respected, and relevant speaker to campus to engage with the community and enhance the student experience. And on behalf of Mary Baldwin University, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks for the generous support of this lecture series made from the trust of Francis and Margaret Teague. Both Margaret Teague, class of 1958, and Virginia Farrell Nexum, class of 1982, are Mary Baldwin alumni. Ms. Nexum gave in support of this lecture series to honor her parents' memory and to create a legacy for them at the university. And for that, we are very grateful on tonight. So we'd just like to officially thank the Teague family for making this wonderful opportunity to feature a nationally renowned speaker possible for the Mary Baldwin community. Thank you. And now, Mr. Jelani Myers, Mary Baldwin Sr., English major, will now come and introduce our speaker for this evening.
Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Jeffries mentioned before, my name is Jelani Meyer, and I am a senior English major here at Mary Baldwin. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker for the second annual Teague Family Distinguished Lecture Series. On behalf of all the students at Mary Baldwin, I would like to say my own word of thanks to the Teague family for their generosity in making this night possible for us. So I am asking the students present to join me in a round of applause for the Teague family. White House correspondent April Ryan has a unique vantage point as the only Black female reporter covering urban issues from the White House, a position she has held since the Clinton administration. Her position as a White House correspondent has afforded her unusual insight into the racial sensitivities, issues, and attendant political struggles of our nation's past presidents. April can be seen almost daily, Miss April can be seen almost daily on CNN as a political analyst. She is also the Washington, D.C. bureau chief on The Griot. She has been featured in Essence, Vogue, Cosmopolitan, and Elle magazines, to name a few. Miss April Ryan has served on the board of the prestigious, I'm sorry, I'm respectful. Miss April Ryan has served on the board of the prestigious White House Correspondents Association. She is one of only 3 African Americans in the association's over 100-year history to serve on its board. She is also an esteemed member of the National Press Club, and in 2015, Ms. Ryan was nominated for an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Literary Work for a Debut Author for her first book. In 2016, she was a National Council of Negro Women, Mary McLeod Bethune Trailblazer Awardee. And in 2019, Miss April Ryan became an honorary member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Miss April Ryan is a Baltimore native and a Morgan State University graduate, and she gives back to this community by serving as a mentor to aspiring journalists and assisting with developing up-and-coming broadcasters. Miss April Ryan considers her greatest life's work raising her two daughters, Ryan and Grace, who are phenomenal young women. Miss April Ryan is an author of the award-winning book, The Presidency in Black and White and At Mama's Knee, Mothers and Race in Black and White, where she looks at race relations through the lessons and wisdom that mothers have given their children. Her latest book is Under Fire, reporting from the front lines of the Trump White House. Mary Baldwin University, please help me welcome Miss April Ryan.
Good evening, everyone. You can do better than that. This is the, yes! Thank you. Oh, wow. It's so wonderful to be here. So wonderful to be here on this day. On this day. I'm going to hold that for a minute. I want to say to Jelani, thank you so much, Jelani. That is so wonderful. And you know what? You're going to go far, because if you are still respecting your elders as your trajectory is high, you're going to make everything. You're going to make the world look at you. Thank you, Jelani. Yes. I love being on a college campus and watching and hearing the minds and the words of tomorrow. And even today. Madam President, thank you for having me. Doctor, thank you for bringing me. Thank all of you for being here tonight. If you're like me, you're COVID conscious, but hey, we're here. We're here to have a word, to move forward, to move the ball forward, to lean in, if you will. And I want to start with history today. History today. History. Number 116. Number 116, remember that. Out of 233. The wisdom over here understands, yes. Yes. Number 116. Her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. 233 years in the making. But I'm not going to say in the making. 233 years. The nation never paused to say, hey, this picture is not complete. What about? There are women that have sat on the court and sit on the court today, but what about? What would it look like? Did we ever pause to say that? On the day that we celebrate her ascension, I want to take us back a little bit to how we got there and why she's needed. For a time such as this, as we celebrate the optics of today, at the White House watching Ketanji Brown Jackson hugging and even crying with President Joe Biden, when Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, presided over in 2022, you're feeling that, right? Presided over the votes from the senators who said aye or no. We watched on television. We watched in the chamber. We watched. Deltas were in the hallways. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated one of the many women's groups that have been pushing for this moment for she to rise for years. She was missing. I'm not just talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'm talking about the voice of a Black woman in the highest court in the nation. We laugh about watching Hamilton and hearing the songs and words, being in the room where it happens. But it makes a difference when representation is in the room where it happens. The first Black woman U.S. Supreme Court Justice. I'm not saying I support it, I'm not saying I disagree with it, but from the unique perch from whence I sit, it makes a difference. The court right now, and we're not going to get into, this is not going to be a history lesson, but this is a lesson on humanity. Man's humanity to man, or man's humanity against man. Right now, the court is made up 6-3, majority conservative. So you say, what difference does it make for this Black woman to be there? It makes a difference because her understanding of the law, her understanding of life will go into that courtroom. It could mean a difference on issues that impact us. Right now, we're watching issues of voting, something that's not just impacting the Black community, but all of us that will be on the doorsteps of the Supreme Court yet again. The Supreme Court twice dismantled the Voting Rights Act of 1965, a law that we thought would forever be. Here at Mary Baldwin, you read the history, you read your history books, but what's happening? Now in some states, when we go to vote, if grandma is sitting there because she's seen what has happened to our nation, grandma wants to go and make a difference because she has worked so hard for this country to be what it is. Her ancestors, her elders have been there. So she wants to sit in line, and guess what happens? She calls granddaughter Jane. Jane, I've been sitting here for 6 hours. Grandma forgot her cracker. Grandma forgot her water. Well, Grandma, here I come. If they're in Georgia, what happens? Jane and Grandma go to jail. Why does it make a difference that people who look like you are in the rooms where it happens? Because they bring you along the way. When it's time to make a decision, they bring your thought process into the room where it happens because they remembered that you leaned in on subjects. So let's talk about this lean in to get us to this day for 116. You know, you like to say 44. Who's 44? You remember 44. Who's 44? All right, so now you're going to remember 116 out of 233. So how did we get here? It wasn't just something that just happened on the way to the grocery store or on the way to Joe Biden becoming President of the United States and Kamala Harris becoming the Vice President of the United States. It wasn't something that just happened when people said, hey, you know, Barack Obama should run for office. It wasn't just something that happened when John Lewis said, I'm going to stand for my right to vote. I'm going to stand for civil rights. It wasn't just about Dr. King and his life and his dream, his legacy, his attempts to reach the mountaintop, knowing that we would not see him get there with us. And we're still in 2020 trying to reach the mountaintop. And the irony in this moment of 116 comes as we just commemorated 54 years, Monday, of the assassination of a man who just had a dream for a better day. He had a dream of this room of diversity, sitting here freely, talking and being together. This room of open-minded people who want to see equity on all levels. A man who understood that we are a community who still has the highest numbers of negatives in almost every category. And how do you change that? By being in the room where it happens. I know I'm stealing from Hamilton. I'm gonna steal this one too. Da 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 da. Yeah, you've watched the show. Okay, it's one of my favorite Broadway plays. But without making light of it, if you are not in the room, what changes? What changes? There are forces out here now who don't want this. And I say this from sitting in that unique perch that I've been afforded for 25 years, talking to 5 United States presidents, sometimes when I raise my hand and ask questions, and other times when they pull me into the room where they make the decisions to say, April, this is what's happening. A kid from Baltimore who has failure built into her very existence simply because I'm a Black woman from a city named Baltimore that began redlining in this nation. You ask what's redlining? Redlining is when you can't buy a home in that safe, beautiful community on a hill because of the color of your skin, not the content of your character. It was because there were people in the room where it happened that allowed us to buy homes, to be able to go to restaurants, go to hotels. Something called the March on Washington that happened in 1963, but the Civil Rights Act that allowed us to be in this very space, public spaces, together. The 1964 Civil Rights Act. How did we get to 116? The 1965 Voting Rights Act. I was born 1967, just 9 months before the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. How did we get to 116? It took people to march, to press for a better day. In 1968, I'm sure it felt like the world was coming to an end when we have people here who have such wisdom and understanding. Within a 6-week period, 2 dreamers were assassinated. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Bobby Kennedy. If those 2 would have lived, it would have changed the trajectory of today. They were talking about moving the movement, not just from race, but dealing with poverty. Poverty, something in 2022 we're still dealing with. And we just had this conversation earlier. We are hanging on by a thread in so many areas with poverty right now. Globally, there's so many countries crying out, and I'm not just talking about Ukraine and Russia's war on Ukraine and this humanitarian crisis there. There's poverty in this nation. The churches and food banks are trying to keep up. And globally, the world food organizations are saying they need help. It takes people to lean in to get us to moments of safety, of bringing us at the table to solve these issues. It takes people who look like you and me to be at the table of brotherhood, if you will, to sit down and give the plight of what's happening in Charlottesville, or what's happening here at Mary Baldwin, or what's happening in Baltimore, what's happening in Watts, what's happening in DC. It takes a coming together of all. And the sad piece about it is, just like yesterday, today, there's pushback, a fear of change, a fear that because you're at the table, my issues won't be heard. 233 years to 116. It took the ugly, horrific death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a man of peace, to die so violently for the nation to say, wait a minute, something's wrong. I did an interview with Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And actually, they replayed it this week on thegrio.com. Please look it up. In the effort to bring a coming together of all people, there's hate. Bernice King said the way her father was shot, and it's on video, watch it. She said it looked like they shot him to say, shut up. Shot a hole in his jaw while he was talking. Just for the sake of being at the table, in the room where it happened. A chance for equality. 233 to get to 116. In 1968, the Fair Housing Act came. 70s, there was a bit of a lull on civil rights. And then you have a thought that, oh, you've got a nice house, you got a nice car, you even wearing red bottoms and Birkenstocks. Everything is fine. And for those of you who don't know what red bottoms are, blood shoes, as Cardi B calls them, they call them. Yes. Yeah, you know, come on, yeah. What are they called? Since you're giving me that, what are they called? Christian Louboutin. Christian Louboutin. Christian Louboutin. Some of us even driving Teslas. I know the college kids, that's what you want, right? You want a Tesla, a Maybach, or something, what you want? Your Tesla would be nice, right? But for you to get there, my sister, for you to even think about that, to even be able to walk in that showroom door, a lot of people died for you to be even have that dream. It's not that easy. See, our young kids, and I still think I'm 17 on Morgan State University's campus, even though I've got a 19-year-old daughter at American University and a 14-year-old who's whatever. But I'm telling you, they're like, hey, whipping and nay-naying, and I'm like, okay, come on, let's do it. You might even see me on the TikTok, but for real, right? But what you guys are so blessed. What you don't know is the struggle and the fight to get you here. What you don't know is the struggle and the fight to get you here. You know, you pick up these phones, these $1,000 phones, Madam President, $1,000 phones. But your mother and father had to stand on some shoulders to be in a company or a business, to be able to work in that company or business, to be able to make sure you had a phone, you had clothes on your back, you have books here to go to Mary Baldwin. See, we forget the struggle, but we want the blame. That's why I keep harping on 116 after 233 years. Why is it so important? Because the struggle continues. As we celebrate, and I'm saying we collectively because I'm a reporter, all I do is watch and report. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel seen as a Black woman. I feel heard as a Black woman, particularly after all the HE double hockey sticks I've been through. We're not going to get into that. But what I want you to do is remember those numbers and understand the struggle to get here. Not just celebrate, but remember. Don't stop here, because watching from the unique perch that I sit, in order for this not to be an anomaly, but the norm, it takes a lean in. What does that lean in look like? It looks like my sorors standing in the hallways of the Senate building, standing in unison, not saying a word. And the congressional is like, who are these women in red? What are they? And they do. It takes you in the midst of a pandemic to say, bump the possible death. I'm going to fight for George Floyd. I'm going to fight for Breonna Taylor. I'm going to say her name. I'm going to say his name until they hear me. I'm so proud of the young people. You dared and challenged the system when your life was on the line for a man you didn't even know, or a woman you didn't even know, or people you didn't even know, because that is my brother, that is my sister. Yana Van Zandt, a dear friend, said, let's not say, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper. No, I am my brother, I am my sister. And if we start changing that mindset, and I'm not just talking to my Black brothers and sisters and cousins and aunties and uncles and nieces and nephews, I'm talking to us as a collective. This community in unison. This is not about politics. Politics is about people. Politics is about humanity. And when we start getting there, this is not a head issue, this is a heart issue. When we start thinking differently and leaning in, these moments will not be an anomaly. It's not just about Black people, it's about women, it's about our Asian brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters. There's so many of us who are not at the table or in the room where it happened, and we belong. When they in Congress discuss issues about women and all of the people at the table are men, something is wrong. I can talk about women's suffrage, I can talk about all this, but all of this kind of relates, it's connective. It took all this time to get to 116. We don't need to keep celebrating these moments. They need to be a norm in 2022. They celebrate all of these vaccines, right? I'm getting ready to get my booster, my second booster soon. But they celebrate, but you know what we forget to celebrate? The Black woman who is the lead researcher for Moderna. Her name is Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. We forget to celebrate these norms and mark them so people can, these anomalies, because people forget that we are still in a time, that is not normal in 2022. So I'm telling you, Mary Baldwin, and I'm gonna end on this. It's time for you to lean in. It is time for you to lean in. And I'm gonna tell you what the lean in does and what it can do for you. When you see injustice, lean in. When you see something that's not skewed right, lean in. Only you can determine legally what that lean in looks like. A squeaky wheel from that unique perch that I've sat in gets the oil. They cannot stand to hear fussing in DC. Consternation, they can't stand it, especially when you come in mass and in great number. But what I will tell you tonight is that as we stand in these hallowed halls of Mary Baldwin, they used to tell, well, they probably still try to tell the kids at Harvard and Yale, Princeton and Vassar. They do. You are going to be the change. You're going to change the status quo. Because what our history showed us, many of them, were presidents and congressional leaders and Supreme Court justices. How many justices attended Harvard? Look that number up, you'd be surprised. Well, you won't be surprised. But those schools are told that they are the ones that are ruling the world. They're the ones who are told that you're going to make a difference. Well, guess what, Mary Baldwin? It's your time now. And this is real because I want to tell you, they discounted HBCUs, didn't they? Who's running the thing now? Madam President? And like my dear Beyonce said, who run the world, girls? This nation, our founding fathers, white men, the lean in, the dreamer has changed the power structure. The Vice President of the United States, a woman of color who identifies as Black, she attended Howard University, not Harvard. And there's nothing against Harvard, I've spoken there. And Yale too. But the man who is running the January 6th Select Committee, Benny Thompson, Tougaloo. Cedric Richmond, the man who has the ear of the president, senior advisor of President Joe Biden, Morehouse. The list goes on and on. The head of the Congressional Black Caucus, Joyce Beatty, Central. The list goes on and on. And a kid from Baltimore who's questioned 5 presidents who called me by name. Well, one of them may not have called me by the right name, but you got that, Mayor, did you? Yeah. April Ryan, Morgan State University. We all make a difference. That table is yours. Don't ever let anyone tell you you don't belong. I started out with 116 and 233. Mary Baldwin, I'm waiting for you, each and every one of you, to be that change maker. When you graduate, I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting to hear when they say with college, when they give the resume, Mary Baldwin, I say, yes, I talked to that student. Because I got to be in the equation, I talked to that student during that wonderful COVID speech where I took my mask off. So what does the lean in look like? It's a long time coming. But we are here in a day where anything is possible. The power structure has changed. The anomaly should no more be an anomaly. We need to make it a norm. I say that not as a reporter. I say that as a human being. I say that as a Black woman who was discounted from the day I was born, simply because of my race, my gender, and the city I was born in. I stand on the shoulders of those who leaned in. Because they lean in or leaned in, I'm leaning in too. Mary Baldwin, thank you. They're on the list. Thank you. I think this is Q&A. Yes, Doctor.
Yes, we are going to move to our dialogue and Q&A period. And I'd like to present to you all my esteemed colleague tonight, Professor of History and the Dean of the Mary Baldwin College for Women, Dr. Amy Tillerson Brown, to lead us through this period.
Okay, that sounds good. Hey, Soror.
Hey, Soror.
So glad to have all of you here on this evening. Thank you so much for your talk. You are exactly right. We all have to lean in, right? Because sometimes the things we see going on around us, oftentimes we look at them and think, well, that's happening way out there. That really doesn't have much to do with me, right?
It has tentacles.
Absolutely, and we must lean in. You were getting ready to say something. But
No, I'm
Oh.
supporting you.
Oh, okay.
Sister supporting sister. Soror supporting Soror. Come through.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you for your talk. And I'm going to start here. I have to get used to keeping the mic up here. You all who are in my classes know that I got a little vocals in it. Your voice usually travels. But you have been the longest serving Black female White House correspondent. 5 presidents. You bad, girl, you bad. And I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to say, of all 5 presidents, what was your biggest lesson looking back over 5 presidencies?
It's not about me. Everything and everyone has a story, and I'm just the vessel to ask the questions and then translate it, the much needed information to the American public. Everything comes from the White House everything comes to the White House for war and peace and everything in between. Life and death is written and spoken in that place. And it is, it's not about me. It is not about me. It's about the people.
Almost servant activism, even in your role as a, no?
See, you know what? And I have a hard time with being called I have a hard time with the word activism as it relates to me. Yeah. You know why? Because this is crazy, but now the word activism is a pejorative. They use it as a pejorative to make you seem like you're doing something wrong. But if I'm telling you, now, if you ask me on CNN, I'm gonna tell you what I think as a political analyst, but if you read thegrill.com, every last one of you, I want you to go on grill.com and start reading, because my stuff, I keep receipts. I keep receipts. So we have the newsmakers saying what they say, but when I say something that someone may not like that is true, they want to take a dig at me. You're an activist. How am I an activist when they're just saying what they say? For instance, my story, was it early? It was either yesterday. It was yesterday, last night. We dropped a story. This got under so many people's skin, but it's the truth. Right now, and we have a crazy policy, a terrible policy on immigration, where some people are allowed in and others aren't. So I'm called an activist because I expose it. What's happening in Ukraine is atrocious. We're accepting 100,000 refugees. That's wonderful. What's happening in Afghanistan? What happened in Afghanistan is terrible. We're accepting refugees. That's wonderful. All of them are here because of some type of political persecution or some kind of issue, very negative issue. But when I think of, say it again, say it loud, say it loud. Haitians. President was assassinated. They can't have an election because of lawlessness with gangs. Okay, earthquakes, the list goes on, and they're sent home. But I'm an activist because I'm Black, And I just bring it up. I'm not saying I think. I'm laying it out with advocates for Haiti. I'm laying it out with the head of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Greg Meeks. But I'm an activist because I wrote the story, and it is it's boom, 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 just right there. I'm an activist because I talked to the head of the UN, U.S. ambassador to the UN, who happens to be a Black woman. She said, yes, this is an issue. But when I bring it up, let one of my colleagues bring it up, who happens to be another gender and another race. Oh, it's just a great story. But I'm an activist. So you see what I'm saying? It's just, if you only knew the stuff behind the scenes that you have to deal with just to do your work, it's crazy.
Mhm.
So
Okay, I hear you now.
you hear me now.
I hear you now.
I'm not an activist. I'm a journalist who puts like Ida B. Wells said, and she was an activist.
And you are too.
She put a bright light on the ills of a community. Well, okay, I accept it as a positive, yes. But I am not out here marching, and no, I'm not. But I'm part of the Black media who has beat the drum on issues of policing since we've been in this nation. It's not, guys, it didn't just start with Trayvon Martin. It didn't just start with George Floyd. It didn't just start with Emmett Till or James Byrd. It has been here since we landed, since they ripped us from Mother Africa, sold us on the auction block. Can you hear slave sheriffing to keep us on the plantations? It started then and it's just perpetuated now. It's just in a different form. So, I mean, we've been beating the drum, but I'm called an activist because whatever.
I use the word activist in the most honorable way that I
know
can.
you. I know you do,
In a way that Ida B. Wells I would also consider a very big. But I like this conversation because the use of language and how certain words have become almost red herrings. Now, especially.
Come
Bring
through,
it on.
Soror. I love this conversation.
So similar to what's going on, I know you're in Baltimore, but I know you know what's going on here in Virginia as well, where we have to start a campaign that says Black history is American history, right? Because
Glenn Youngkin, right?
Well, I wasn't even going to call names. but
that's why I get in trouble. I'll call a name, but go ahead.
But yes, he is governor now and brought in a new team and his superintendent of education. But right now, the question, and I believe that you made a point to a reporter, I think this was last year, about the first Black Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, who was concerned.
No, Colin Powell was the first Black Secretary of State. First Black female.
Black
yes.
female.
The late, great Colin Powell.
Mm-hmm. All right. And it was some comment that she made, and make sure I get this right, where she was leery of anything that connected with people's perceptions of critical race theory because it may harm the psyche of white children. You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I just want Madam President to invite me back again. That's all. I'm just trying to, because Mary Baldwin, like I said, when I see your resume, I'm like, I spoke to that student.
Well, here, let me. I'll
no,
come
no,
off of that.
no. We're not. No. I'm just gonna say. Let me say this, and I want to be clear because whenever I speak, people like exactly. People will twist your words and say things, and I want to be very clear. I'm a journalist. I'm a truth teller. I don't believe, there's something called truth, and a lot of people can't either handle it or ain't ready for it. And I can't help that you may not feel a certain kind of way, or you feel a certain kind of way when you hear the graphic details of slavery, of how we were beaten and whipped, thrown. This is fact. I was in a slave house in Goree Island and on the door of no return. the shark pattern changed. The shark pattern in the ocean changed when the slave ships traveled to this country and other countries, because the strongest that didn't survive were thrown off the ships. I'm sorry you don't like that, but it's the truth. Every Black person in this room who comes from the slavery of this country are descendants of the strongest that survived the Middle Passage. They threw us, our ancestors, into small rooms in those slave houses while the captain of the ship had this luxurious upstairs, spacious area to live in. If you lived to make it out of those small rooms and went on the ship, you were stuffed into the bottom of the ship. Next, lying down, I get seasick just on a boat, sitting on the dock. To lay side by side with someone like you are meat. Then taken off the ship, put on a block, naked, sold, whipped because you're not picking cotton or cutting down the cane, the sugar cane, fast enough. Families being torn apart because the man's gonna sire other kids to build up another crop of free labor so you can make money and put towards these Ivy League schools that we can't even. And you tell me you don't want to hear the truth? Boy, bye. It makes me want to cry because we stand on the shoulders of greatness. We survived when we ate the interest. You may laugh at our chitlins, but I'm gonna tell you something. While y'all were eating good, we were too. We survived. When other communities can't understand, oh, I got a can of beans, only I got a can of beans or hot dogs in my refrigerator. Honey, we make the best meal that you've ever had in your life. Don't let you find some spice somewhere. Don't let you find these kids. Thank you. You understand. So don't tell me I don't run away from my history. And maybe that's why they tell me I'm an activist. I'm not an activist. I'm just a truth teller. I am 5 generations removed from the last known slave in my family. His name was Joseph Dollar Brown, sold on the auction block in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I am the great-great-granddaughter of a slave. And you tell me you don't want to hear about it because I hurt your feelings? Whatever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I totally agree with you. I get exactly where you're going, but that's really a campaign, and that's the power that
She's trying to make me an activist and going on a campaign. I'm running for politics. No, soror. I'm happy where I am.
Okay, I won't say you're an activist anymore.
Okay. No. But I get it. No, but I get it.
I believe you are, but I just won't say you are. No, but I think the point that I want to make, especially to you all convened here, and you might have questions a bit later, is the use of language and how certain words can come to mean different things, even when that's incorrect, right?
Yeah,
So here in Virginia, we're contending with this issue of whether or not truth then is synonymous with divisive. Right.
I mean, just look at what happened. Let's go back. How many of you watched some part? If you didn't watch the hearings, you saw it on the news. How many of you watched? Okay. You talk about divisive. You talk about divisive. To pull out a book and ask her about the racist baby, I'm like, what? Here, this woman has a pedigree that rivals anybody else in that room and on the Supreme Court, and you're going to try to make her look small because of politics, policy, or whatever. That's division. And it perpetuates division. And instead of you talking about the ideology and all this other stuff, she's soft on crime. Okay, all right. I interviewed Elizabeth Warren, and she said it wasn't a dog whistle, they were bullhorns that they were blowing. That's what Elizabeth Warren said. I didn't say that. It's just, and this is what I'm saying. This is when, and just what I just said, the lean-in happens because there's so much not right. And we've got a lot of people out here dismissing people because of race. This is not, and maybe this might be why people think I'm an activist, but this, I see from the unique perch that I sit in and I ask questions, there's a lot of hurt out here in every sector. And the problem is when you get to the table, people are like, I want to be at the table too. It shouldn't just be for one group to be at the table. I just don't think that's fair. And I'm not advocating just for Black people to be at the table. I'm not advocating for anybody, but I'm saying there is a lopsided equation going on in Washington. When you hear people, and not just Washington, all around the nation, when you hear people crying out and they just dismiss the people and move on with one group. And I think that is some of the reason why Barack Obama became president, because he said, he believed in hope and change, hope and change. And a lot of people felt really, there was like this visceral reaction because they saw a Black man and they felt all it's going to be is about Black. And because of the unique nature of his president, because he was Black and a politician, race and politics will always follow him. But he was keenly aware that he had to have a broad table. He could not just focus in on Black. And people, wait a minute, well, no, I'm not even dealing with Jeremiah Wright. But no, Jeremiah Wright was before he became president. So I'm talking about when he was president. But here's the thing. Jeremiah, we'll talk about it there if you want to. But he keenly chose not to talk about and be, quote unquote, the Black president because the Tea Party was on his heels. But what happened was, because people felt that they were left out, there was a polar opposite reaction in the next election. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. We are so hypersensitive and we cannot, there's got to be a middle ground because we are tearing this nation. We can't handle crazy too much more. We can't handle crazy. And we've got to, Barack Obama is a Black man who had a white mother. They never saw that. Loved his family, all sides of his family. But in their eyes, he was a Black man who was going to focus in on Black things. And they didn't like it. But there, in my opinion, after watching these presidents, there needs to be someone who has an umbrella for everyone, but we're so divided. I don't know if we can see that someone can take everyone, or is that even possible now? You know what I'm saying? We're just so divided. And the reason why we're having these extreme problems now, and Sarah Palin talking about she wants to get back in. Jesus help us today. No, but the reason why we are so extreme is because people feel that listen to this. The reason why we're so extreme, because there are some people who feel like they're not included in the umbrella. And the umbrella needs to broaden. Everyone needs to feel included and be included. Everyone. It's not just a Black thing. It's not just a white thing. It's not just an Asian thing. It's not just a Hispanic thing. Everyone needs to feel included. And the question is, who can do that? And when will that happen? We're so divided now. because people feel they're not included. That's the basis of this. They feel excluded from power. They feel excluded from money. They feel excluded from community. Who can talk that middle of the road language that brings everyone in? And I mean, maybe some people don't want middle of, I don't know. Everyone wants something different, but how do you appease everyone?
I don't know that we can appease everyone. And I wonder if it's that people now we feel, or it appears that in 2022, we're more divided. I wonder if we are any more divided today than we were 50 years ago or 75 years ago. But let me
You're
finish
right.
the point. Is the question at this point that everyone doesn't feel included, or if white men in particular feel excluded?
I think it's all of the above. If I took a test with you, would I be wrong if I circled all the above?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? No, so let me say this. Your former governor, Doug Wilder, I worked with him on a book. Well, he gave me some information on the book. He said, when race rears its ugly head is when people feel like their money is impacted. That's powerful. Think about it. Think about all this. We were staving off recession around January 6th, weren't we? We were staving off the recession. We were actually in a recession. Every time we've had these flashpoints, it's been some kind of economic downturn, pretty much. Well, modern years. And 50 years ago, there was this big thing of wanting to be included in the ecosystem of life, all ways. And with the Montgomery bus boycott, that was money. That was money. And that was a sustained period of determination. I'm not going to catch the bus. It was over a
Buttressed by
year.
Black women.
Yes. The help, if you will. The help, if you will. And it caused people to pay attention. Think about every February 1, I want you guys to remember this. Back in the day, the Woolworths was everything, the lunch counters. February 1, North Carolina A&T. North Carolina, and the sisters from Bennett supported them. The lunch counter boycott. People were so afraid. That ultimately, that was race, but it was money. And one of the largest chains that was challenged. And all these young Black people wanted to do, these young Black boys, they just wanted something to eat, wanted to be able to go down the street, get something to eat. And that was one of the major moves for the civil rights movement. So race and money go hand in hand. Don't ever let anyone tell you that. Race and money are twins, conjoined twins. Yes.
I'm not sure that race would have been invented without the need for money.
Come on, Soror.
I'm just.
She's a good teacher. Who's in her class? She's a good teacher. The students just went, they jumped up. Now you want to talk about Jeremiah Wright?
Y'all not getting any extra credit for that.
No, but they were enthusiastic. And
I know, I'm just joking with y'all. You know I love you. You know I do.
That's your what? I said your hand. You would like. So you want to talk about Jeremiah right now?
Well, this is the context that I was going to talk. But yeah, let's.
Okay.
But if we look back, but you know better than I because you covered this president, right? But I didn't hear even when he's during his campaign. I think that he took great care, for obvious reasons, not to mention race.
Yeah, but Jeremiah Wright made him. Remember that
That's
speech
my point.
in Philadelphia?
That's
That speech
the
in
point.
Philadelphia.
Yes, that's the point.
But it's, I grew up in the church, and Jeremiah Wright was, Southern Baptist Convention. He was Southern Baptist Convention. I didn't go to the conventions, but all my church was, oh yeah, we went and the music was great. Blah, blah, blah. Jeremiah Wright preached. And I'm like, is this the same Jeremiah Wright? No, seriously, because I'm like, there is a sacred connection between pastor and parishioner, even if he's president of the United States. So in my head, there's the news. So, ooh. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is his pastor. But Jeremiah Wright, what people didn't know at the time, he had a military career, and he was in the room when, was it LBJ? Yeah, needed surgery. So I just didn't understand the dynamic. I kept trying to search. I searched on the news side, like, why would he do this? And I searched because it was in front of my face, but sometimes you want to get the backstory. And then I'm looking religiously. I never asked then President Barack Obama about it, but I'm sure if you have a pastor and I don't know if he's discussed personal things. I don't know what he's discussed with them, but to have him stand out there, that's got to be a hurt. It's got to be a pain. It's got to be and he was an active. Let me tell you something. I'll never forget watching. I think it was Dorothy Heights' funeral. And I watched it. It was at the National Cathedral, I believe. And B.B. Winans got up and sang "Stand." Barack Obama was acting like it was fire shut up in his bones. That's for people who are in the black church. Y'all know what that means. He was rocking. I said, ooh. I said, you know something about that, don't you? And so I was watching him and I said, and I thought about that. I said, and I've seen him in settings where, and let's go to Pinckney's funeral, Mother Emanuel, when Dylan Roof. I went to that church after that. Those people are so protective. The community and the parishioners of that church are so protective that they have every right to be, because that church was desecrated. There's a spirit in that church. I don't know what it was, but I went to that church after it. But for him to get up there, and one of the bishops behind him was Bishop Vashti McKenzie. And Vashti Turley Murphy's her grandmother, who was one of the founders of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So I'm not in this chapter, and I don't know. I'm not in this organization. I don't know. Trust me. So she was standing, but if you see the woman that was behind him, beautiful black woman behind him, that's our soror. He got up there, and because they said before, he said he was tinkering with it. He said he was thinking about doing it, and he said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then in the moment, because he was tinkering with it, and then he did it, and the world stopped. He felt that amazing grace that saved a wretch like me. Let me not. No. I know, but I mean.
Where's the piano?
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know his walk. No one knows. We don't know each other's walk. That had to be a pain in his heart.
You mean to have to denounce?
No, not to denounce. No, that had to be a pain in his heart that he trusted someone. When you have faith and then you trust someone, and it betrayal. And I'm sure it wounded him. You don't know what kind of conversations he had with his pastor. That is a sacred relationship. So I don't know why Jeremiah Wright did that. I'm still, as a reporter, I would love to interview him. I don't know how many people would be interested at this point, but I would still love to know the backstory. Why did you do it? But he did say, he said, I'm going to challenge anybody. That's what he said. He was at the National Press Club. He said, I don't care who you are. You're president of the United States. I'm going to challenge you. And I get that. But that president happened to be parishioner and friend. So it's hard. I don't know. But I'm just telling you from two minds. So
I get exactly what you're saying. Now, I remember when President Trump was still in office. Yes or no?
What you want to talk about?
Let me know if you want me to change the question. No, but I have to. This was just so April Ryan, right? When you said that Putin was big pimping.
Did I say Putin was big pimping Trump? Did I say that? I said a lot. I said Sarah Huckabee had diabetes. I mean, I've said a lot. I did. And then I had people reach out. Why would you say that? Because diabetes is real. I said, I'm pre-diabetic. I understand. So I wouldn't say it if and my dad had diabetes. My father's side of the family I understand. I'm fighting now not to get it, but she does have diabetes. But anyway, and she's running for governor.
Was Putin big pimping Trump?
Does anybody have the song Turn It On? I'm going to say this. That is an unholy alliance right now. And for him to play that deadly, dirty game, asking him for dirt as this man is being considered a war criminal. I may have said it. I don't remember. I'm being honest. I said so much stuff. I don't know. I'm not denying. I'm not confirming. I don't know. I don't know. Madam President, please have me back. I'm enjoying it here in COVID.
Okay, well, let's move on then.
Yes,
to a
please.
whole nother topic, right? If we circle back,
Are you guys having a good?
Right?
Are you guys having a good time tonight? I'm glad because it was 4 hours coming. It's gonna be another 4 hours back. I want to go back in these 4 hours. That was 8 hours well spent. And then,
well, since we're talking to an audience of college students, and
yes,
you spoke so highly about Mary Baldwin,
I did,
and we appreciate.
And
that
you saw. I'm
much.
telling you, the students, and how they. I've gone to a lot of universities, but for them to be so excited to speak your name and to raise their hand, that says a lot about you. I'm serious. That's because a lot of these kids, let me tell you something, a lot of these kids like, whatever. They were not doing that at all. I'm serious.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I keep it real. As I'm an activist, right?
You
and
know
so
you're
now
an activist.
Somebody's going to take that and say, I am not an activist. I'm not linked to any organization. All my
that's true.
All my thoughts are my own.
Right. And you are nobody's puppet, and we know that.
Not at all. Not even my children or my dog's puppet, no.
We know that to be true. But you graduated from my alma mater.
Morgan State. Fair Morgan, we love thee, so tried and so true, yes.
Yeah. What experiences or what did Morgan give you that you'll never forget?
Well, okay, so let me say this. I attended Morgan, but I'm a Morgan baby. I grew up on Morgan's campus, so that's a whole different thing. So Morgan for me is home. I'll say this. I say this about all HBCUs, but I say this in particular about Morgan. HBCUs love you to success. And they took me and molded me, beat me up, molded me, said, you don't need to say that. Took my research cards away from me, redo it. Right. But look at where I am today.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions?
I was ready to say, do you all want to help join me? Anyone from the audience have any questions or comments? Or I knew it. That's Miss Twine right there. Go ahead, sweetie. I'll stay.
And my best friends with Angela Rye. Angela, and you know what? Angela, I adore her. She's gorgeous. She said, somebody said, she's smart. She's wicked. She fights the power. I have not talked to Angela. The crazy thing is I am crazy busy now. Because I opened up in the last year, I just opened up this arm of the griot, and I've never worked as hard as I've worked in my life. And I'm not seeing people. And then now with the war and COVID and everything, everybody's kind of gone differently. And even CNN, I'm gonna be on tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. 5:25. I know, right? Ugh. So I'm gonna sleep in the car on the way back, and then and I'm gonna go home, go to sleep, and then get up. But I haven't seen her, but she's doing great things. And matter of fact, I might text her and say, because you know how you see people like you pick up where you left off. And I haven't seen her in a minute. I think she might be in New York with Reverend Al Sharpton. I was supposed to be with Reverend Al Sharpton for his conference today, but I said no, I'm sticking with Mary Baldwin. So I'm here. Yeah. Thank you.
You're here. Thank you. Thank you.
But this young lady, I think.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go. Who?
Right there. That young
Oh,
lady.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe I need to stand,
Yeah, you can
please,
stand up,
so
stand
that
up.
we can hear you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Veda. I was wondering, could you explain more of the situation? I didn't understand that.
Okay, the Big Pippin, I don't, okay, are you talking about Big Pimpin' or are you talking about now? Okay, so if I said it, and I'm trying to figure it out, I'm like, if I said, okay, so that, they're friends, they were friends, I guess, I don't know what they are now, but he's asking them for help. It just was not, with everything going on, it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem like it was an unseemly relationship in the midst of uh these lawsuits and investigations, and he's still friendly with him. And Putin, in a lot of ways, okay. For instance, in the lead up to uh the election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, um, there was a lot of misinformation out there with a lot of these erroneous news organizations created by the Russian bot. And Russian bots are all over the internet. They call me every kind of name, and I go back to fight them, and I look, I said, oh, 0 followers. I said, that's a bot, and I report every one of them. I'm serious. They have called me everything but a child of God. And it's like, I'm like, okay, whatever. So there's a lot of things that have happened, and Putin has been a very big influence in the United States in our elections process. How can another country, come and infect our elections process? That's not okay. Your vote should count. Okay. So that's one of the problems that we've had with Russia. So if I said that, that might have been what. I'm not going to say I didn't. I'm not going to say I did. I don't remember, but it sounds something like an Aprillism. I don't know. It sounds like an Aprillism, but I don't remember saying it. I say so many things. If you had me on tape, I was like, yeah, I said it. If I see it, I'm like, yeah, I said it. But it sounds like an Aprillism. I hope I. Okay, no worries. But you understand now, right? Okay. Also, okay. Thank you. What? Thank you for that question. What do I learn? What I learned from those people to advance the story, they give me information that advances the story to help you understand a little bit more, or give you a broader context of what's happening. Everyone and everything has a story, and I love a good story. So when you read, like, if you read today, 116, who's 116? Oh my God, Ketanji Brown Jackson. My gosh. Yes. So like if you read, matter of fact, go on to grill.com and look at my story, and you'll see a whole host of people I've talked to. It's not me. It's not about me. It's about different people saying different things. For instance, at the beginning of the story, I have a woman by the name of Mignon Moore. She was, come on in, welcome. Oh, he opened the door and shut it. He was like, oh my God. Yes, come in, welcome, welcome. Yes. All right, so anyway, hi, come on in. We all gave our names. What's your name? So, I love to laugh. I love to laugh. Life is so hard. I love to laugh. So wait, before you, yes, it's not, it's right, GRIO. It's not griot, like the griot, GRIOT, but we take the T off. The traditional spelling, the African way is griot, GRIOT, but we take, they got a little fancy. I had nothing to do with, yeah, what's wrong? The griot, okay. Griot, yeah, yes, the griot, yes, yes. There you go, see? African storyteller is griot. Well, I wanted to let me finish her real quick with her. Yeah. No, no, go on the site. But Mignon, yeah, Mignon Moore, she very seldom, if you see that story, it's KBJ, the story about being confirmed. She really doesn't talk to people. And she is a Democratic strategist. She was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. She worked in the Clinton years. Obama wanted her to come in to the White House. She turned him down, and now she's doing this. You very seldom hear from her, and she gave me a quote. So, and it's important. She was she was one of the ones sitting behind Ketanji Brown Jackson in the confirmation hearings. Yeah, so I got her, Doug Jones. So I try to get the people who are right there to bring you into the room, to bring you into the situation so you could be more informed. So that's what I do. And we're gonna come to you, but what were you saying? Yes. Hi, Diane. 25. No, because I worked hard. I got the war wounds. 36 years in the business, 25 at the White House. Yes. I don't think I've really ever had that problem because, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm very opinionated. Behind the scenes, I'm very opinionated. But what I find is it's not two sides of the story. They're all sides of the story. And a lot of times I get people from all walks of life. I get Republicans, I get Democrats, I get people who could care less. And they say everything. They put it all on the table. And it's like, I've never found myself in that spot because it's like, I don't have to speak. I give voice to the story by the voices that are in the story. Somebody probably says, pretty much I do. I mean, if you see Tim Scott's in there, I talked to Armstrong Williams. I've tried to interview Donald Trump. I have asked him, go look. I asked him if he was going to come. I did the NAACP presidential town hall. I asked him in the Oval Office on tape, will you come? He said, oh, you're doing it, right? He said, I don't think so. Yeah, he did. Yeah, don't look surprised.
Didn't you ask him one time whether or not he was going to speak to the Congressional Black Caucus? And he said something to you like, will you set that up for me?
Yeah, and I
The
told him
look on your face.
no, as a journalist, I'm not supposed to create news. As a journalist. So he's telling me, oh, go get him. What would I look like? Okay, I'll call him now. What would what would I look? I am a journalist. I am one of the best journalists out there who does it. And you are not there. Okay, this is an institution of higher learning, but forgive this. There ain't nobody out there right now doing the dang thing like I'm doing it. So in the Black space, on any mainstream space, we have receipts of these high level people who are in the room, have the ear of presidents who talk to them, who have been the highest ever in their positions. And so what I'm saying is, for him to ask me that and to say that, there was a lot behind that. It was to discredit me. It was to catch me. My late mother and father, working class, they did everything so I could be where I am today. They never imagined me there. My parents came from agrarian families, from farmers. And I'm going to let him take everything, every one of my family members worked for me to be in the room. He's not going to do that to me. No, no. I would be discredited if I would have done that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes. And I won't even say more because I see that it's 3 minutes until 8:30 and you
Ooh.
got to be in Baltimore and you have to be on the news at 5 a.m.
Yeah, that late, but let's get to
But
this
do
lady
one
in
more
the,
question.
in the
All right,
green, yeah.
all right.
I just wanted your thoughts on his about his comment about Judge Brown.
Okay, so it's not just Judge Brown. Let's go to policing. Let's go to a whole bunch of stuff. He says it's about her ideology. Okay. That's what he says. It's about her ideology. But what about policing? As he gets up there and says he's a Black man who's faced policing issues as well. It makes me wonder. And then he gets on after the president's first address to the joint session, not this State of the Union address, because the first one is just an address because he's not even been in a year. But the first one, when Joe Biden came into office and he did the rebuttal, when he said there's no racism in America or something along that line. So where you say he's in a different universe, I was like, to say something like that, and the FBI has come out with reports about just rampant racism. To say something like that and to say that you have been the target of profiling, I just let him say what he's got to say. Why do you have to challenge him? He speaks for himself. You see. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I let him say it, but you have the knowledge and the history of what he said. Why are you surprised at Ted Cruz? Why are you surprised? Ted Cruz said, and I did go on Twitter saying this, and I shouldn't have said it, but I did. Ted Cruz said he was insulted for Black women by Joe Biden's picking a Black woman as Supreme Court justice. And I'm like, wait a minute, didn't he say he was insulted Black women, or Black women should be insulted for what Joe Biden did? But then you're going to sit in the Senate and talk about the racist baby? I'm like, people are not stupid. People are not stupid. And then in COVID, what did he do? He went to Cancun when Texas was in the deep freeze. His constituents left the dog. Yeah, left the dog. That's a whole nother thing. Let me leave my dog. Let me leave my dog in my little community. They been uncalled. That April Ryan. She gets on TV talking about everybody, and she left the dog. So, this is a time, and I implore all of us. I mean, we laugh now. We laugh to keep from crying. You laugh to keep from crying. But at this moment right now, I implore you to use critical thinking. Critical thinking. Don't just read what's on the page. Don't just listen to what they're saying on TV. Go deep. You have to determine for yourself. If you watch Fox, make sure you're watching. If you watch Fox, I'm saying this, make sure you're watching the news part, not just the opinion. If you're watching CNN, make sure you're watching the news part, not just the opinion. Make sure you're reading the factual pages, the factual news. Be able to differentiate between fact and opinion because the line has been so obscured. And also, the line has been obscured, but also make sure you understand what entertainment is versus fact, because too much is on the line to be playing with this. I'm going to leave you with this. We started out as COVID being a Democratic hoax. And today we are all sitting here vaxxed up, masked up, Still trying to figure out this thing. I'm getting ready to get my second booster. Transparency, I got a J&J. Then I know, right? I know. You got it too? I hear you. I know. But you know what? I know exactly like, I went, exactly. Exact. I'm with you. I went to the mass vac at Raven Stadium, M&T Bank. Because reporters were like, I was like, yes, reporters are allowed. I need to get it because I'm going to the White House. Because they all over the place. The White House is a petri dish, y'all. I'm just gonna say it. And y'all see people without a mask, you be like, just why? I'm just telling you. Because everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting it. So look, so I got it from the mass vac. I got the J&J. And at first it was supposed to be Pfizer. I don't know if they did this to you. I got it 3 days. I got it March, 3 days after they released the J&J. Yes, you got it at the same time. I got it 3 days after. And they said, oh, this is what the National Guard said. Oh, for you lucky people, you've got J&J. And everybody was in the line, yay! I'm like, okay, it's like one and done. You think it's one and done. Then later on, I was like, exactly. I was like, okay. I was running to get to the mixed match. I got Moderna. Did you get a mixed match or you stayed with J&J? You stayed with J. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I went to Moderna because I asked, look, I talked to Dr. Now, this is when it got personal. So we did an interview with Dr. Kizzy. I said, Dr. Kizzy, I'm going to get yours. And she's like, well, all of them. I said, I don't care. I'm getting yours. Hers was considered, the Moderna was considered number one. So I'm going to go back and get another Moderna. But I'm going to tell you something. That J&J laid me low for 11 days. Yeah, I was in the bed. I was like, oh. I want you guys to be smart with this. I'm gonna end with this. We're in unprecedented times. Be smart. Care for yourselves. Use critical thinking. Right now at the White House, they're trying to figure out, should they put the mask mandate back on? You had the press secretary, Jen Psaki, the deputy press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, out for a couple of weeks with COVID. You got a whole slew of people in the White House now, because nobody's wearing masks. Wearing masks. Yeah, we look cute without the mask, but I want to live and be healthy. We may get it, but be safe as you can be. The mayor of DC now has it. Nancy Pelosi now has it. Yeah, Congressman Greg Meeks of New York now has it. The Attorney General has it. A whole host of support staff in the White House has it. If you see me wearing a mask, I'm not taking it off. I'm gonna put my mask on after I leave here, after we finish. But I want you to be smart. I want you to use critical thinking. Your life depends on it. The onus is now on you, not just on the leaders, because sometimes the leaders don't know. And sometimes they're misguided. The onus is on you to read and understand what's happening. That's why Mary Baldwin is important. It's stretching you to be that person who can change the world and maybe solve the situations that we're in now. Guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'd like to thank you, Ms. Ryan, for spending this evening with us. We thoroughly enjoyed you being here, and we wish you safe travels back to the Baltimore area. And we thank everyone for coming and those of you that joined us via live stream tonight. Good night, everyone, and thank you for coming.